I am here once again at RGL LAN. It is day 2, like I said. But this time I am here with a new face. I don't think you guys seen this guy on LAN before unless you've been looking at the stream and the player cams. But I have Gungon, the pocket scout of froyotech. Gungon, it's day 2. You guys have made the grand finals with a 1-map advantage, I believe? Yep. It's still that?
It is still that, yeah.
Okay. So,
crazy broken, for sure. It's really good.
You share your opinions, I share mine. I think we're in a similar agreement of that. But how do you feel so far acclimating to your first true LAN? Because you were at RGB 5, I believe, or 4, one of the two, RGB 5.
Yeah, I mean, it's crazy. The venue here is insane. The PCs are excellent. The only thing is it's really hot on stage. That's a little different. But aside from that, no, it's been a really good experience. I think having a nicer PC and a nicer monitor and all that is really benefiting my gameplay. So,
are you not traditionally a 240 hertz player?
No, I'm a 144 hertz, and I have like a shitty PC. So I'll get below 144 FPS a lot of the times in team fights. So I think I realize now playing on these that it makes my game really inconsistent.
And somehow you were still able to win not only the upper bracket finals versus G6, but if we go back to the preseason, you played on that shitty setup and you beat G6 in the Fireside Cup. But I want to go a little further before that. So you had just came off the back of winning season 14, but everybody knew that roster in some way, shape, or form would not kind of like be the same because from what I understood, Quad had worked, and I don't know if Benny had interest in continuing to play with him, but the big question coming into season 15 was, is Gungon going to stay with the team? Is he going to still be on Pocket Scout? What were the discussions of the team in terms of the team composition coming into season 15?
Well, that's kind of funny you asked that because originally I wanted to play with Psy Guy and Zam. We wanted to make a new team, and Zam was going to combo scout and I was going to flank scout. So I was originally I wasn't really super interested in playing on Froyo. That team kind of fell apart. And then as I realized it's like a LAN season, I was like, well, you know what? I want to play again. And Banny reached out to me and he's like, I'm interested in playing with you. I think we have good chemistry. So essentially it formed off me. Banny wanted to keep me, Sax, and then Hub at least. And I know Ed was really busy, but I don't think he reached out to Ed again. And then by a miracle, Yite just showed up out of nowhere. And he was kind of our last pickup. Along with Habib, right? But aside from that, yeah, it was the whole process of me rejoining the roster was almost by chance because I didn't really know if I wanted to play at that point. But I was like, you know what? I'll give it a try. So
it all came by miracle, and I guess that Zam inside roster was going to be like a Darkest Nights 2.0.
Yeah, it was, except, yeah, with Zam combo, and then we were trying to get Speedy on board, but he didn't want to play, unfortunately. So that's the main reason it died, honestly. But
no worries. And so in terms of that, because my initial expectation from following the scene for a long time was that since it was a LAN season, Benny would be returning to a main calling type of role. But it seems that in terms of the calling structure, when you watch his streams and your scrims, that it's kind of still the same despite him not playing Pocket Scout. He's still in a combo role, but he's on Pocket Soldier. And it seems that this calling structure is like he's calling the overall game plan, but because you're the Pocket Scout and the Pocket Scout kind of has to call what he wants to do with the Ubers and all that stuff, it seems that you're taking on that secondary calling role, but specifically for fights only.
Yeah, I take a lot of the initiative in like team fights specifically. Especially like Uber exchanges or Ubers into last, I am pretty much the one who thinks up all the last push strats and then tries to execute with them with Habib best I can. But Banny calls that overall game plan. He calls transition fights, things like that. So we have a calling style that it was kind of rough at first because we were talking over each other, but now I think it's a pretty good system that we've developed.
Yeah, it was kind of something that I didn't think was going to work out because originally when he was on Demo Man for that one season, he played with Sandblast, and I remember watching a scrim? I don't remember. It was a stream of a scrim, sorry. And there was kind of that constantly butting heads about, Sandblast wants to call what he wants to do, but he felt like his voice wasn't being heard enough or like being followed enough. And then, it was kind of just like that. But It seems you guys have found a medium regarding that.
I think so too. And I think Benny, despite his reputation, he's a very good teammate and he's receptive because we had a bit of that too. Like I would be annoyed when I didn't have the reins to call things. But eventually we worked it out and I think I'm also a little less stubborn than probably Sandblast or some other players. I'm very go with the flow. So I'm able to take kind of that criticism or I'm receptive to it and we're able to work it out.
And then other than, I don't think I think you've played with Habita before.
Only the season before, season 14.
Yeah. So aside from that, I think it was your first time that season 14 playing with Sax, playing with, and then I think this is your first season playing with Habib because Habib wasn't on
G6.
Oh, you played with him? Oh yeah, the season 11 roster with yes. So playing in season 14 with Sax with Habita. What were your initial impressions? Because Habita had played on froyotech, I believe, before, or at least he was trying to make his own name on the Covenant.
Yeah.
Wasn't able to really get past the third place finish that he did with that crew. But what was your initial impressions? Because with playing with him and Sax, who was coming over from Global Clan Fire that season.
It definitely took me a few scrims to really see what they were capable of, but as soon as we really started playing and getting synergy, I realized these guys are potentially some of the best players on their roles in the game. It's crazy how fast they've gotten so good, especially Sax and Sax and Hub. They've only played a few seasons, but Sax's mechanics are bar none. I think has some of the best mechanics in the game, and then Hub just he thinks about the game so much and he has all these ideas and he's just a very creative player, so it's really cool getting to play with young players, a mix of young and new players in that way, because they have a lot of ideas of how to play the game and they're fucking cracked. So,
would you say, arguably, because you've played with some pretty good soldiers like Speedy and whatnot, Sax, one of the highest ceilings of a soldier that you've played with?
I think so. I think he can still get even better too. I think a lot of his issues now are just timing based or positioning based, but with those mechanics he could literally do whatever he wants. So,
and originally when you guys played in the Fireside Cup, you guys did trade maps with G6. That was the first match you guys played, and then heading into playoffs you were able to beat G6 in a similar to a thriller that we just had at the LAN on Snakewater in that final map.
Right.
What was the difference playing against G6 with Kobe versus playing against the new G6 with Marmalade?
Okay, I've talked about this a lot. Kobe is really annoying to play against because he kind of just walks around on Soldier. He is always full HP, and he appears out of nowhere and just two shots you. So I think he's more of an X Factor player that, he's not making as much space as Marmalou, but I think his impact is it's just, he's the scariest player to play against for me because he's one of the only players in the game that just 2-rocket scouts and just he can consistently do that shit. So, Marmalou's really good too, but I feel I understand more of what Marmalou's flow is and I know where he's going to be a lot of the game.
More of a traditional player is what you're saying.
Exactly, but Kobe, he's just he's just everywhere on the map, it feels at the same time. So
that's true.
Yeah, it's tough to pin him down.
And it's weird because of his Waddle playstyle, he kind of plays more counter jump intuitive than most soldiers, and that kind of complements Soapy's aggressive playstyle.
Yeah.
So I've noticed when you play against, when Soapy's really hyper aggressive with his bombs, whereas Kobe is kind of the exact opposite, and it kind of was the mold that made G6 what it was. But now that they have Marmalou, you guys are still competitive with them. And I would say even more competitive than you were with Kobe, but it's definitely a different G6 to play against. But moving forward from that, you guys came into the regular season pretty good, actually, now that I think about it. But there were some early struggles. You played Sultry against Witness, I believe. You also played Process against them later on in the season. And one of the things that I thought was really weird was Global Clan and Global Clan Ice. I think Global Clan Ice actually did give you a run for your money in the regular season, if I remember correctly, but I can't remember off the top of my head. But Global Clan they took a map off of you, aside from G6 in that final match, 5-0 in Snakewater. They took it off you week 5, Granary 4-3, I think. And despite that, Granary's not like really played as much because it's more of that old-timer map. Yeah. But you guys, I would have thought that maybe you guys would have been the favorites on it. What happened in that regular season match? Actually, as a matter of fact, you've been trading really close. Like, all your regular season matches were like a round or 2 differential. But that Global Clan map, it was kind of, on Granary, it was kind of weird to see.
Right. Well, our strategy with Global Clan was to kind of just pick the maps that we didn't play ever to try and practice and get experience on them. So that's why we picked Baya versus them. Baya's been our permaban the entire tournament. So that's why we picked Baya there. And then the Granary match, we hadn't really played Granary very much. We were underprepared for that match. And I think a lot of our players were having off days. So in that map in particular, it was a combination of lack of preparation and then just 2 or more players having bad days. So, but the thing is, it's good to lose those regular season matches because if you do, you can see what your common weaknesses are or your habits, and then it's a lot easier to improve when you fail than when you're doing well. So I think that's what we learned a lot from those losses, essentially. And we had a close match with them on Vaya, which we learned a lot from that too, to never pick Vaya. So
it's now that you're mentioning it, Vaya is your permaban, but earlier teams, I mean, even though they didn't really like it, the earlier iterations of froyotech, they actually liked playing Vaya. They were very competitive on Viaduct. I mean, you go back to I-Series versus Witness Gaming EU. Why was it your permaban, though, with this iteration of froyotech?
We just don't like playing against the sniper. I think Khabib gets headshot a lot, and we didn't really make protocols for it. I think we could have been really good at that map, but we just didn't really put in the effort to... I mean, we wanted to be good at every other map, so we didn't have the time to put, a lot of theory crafting into Vaya. But aside from that, yeah, every other map, we were we'd rather be good at everything else than Vaya than just, be good at Vaya, right?
Was the shocker for you, or the match that convinced you, the one against Kev, where he just popped off on sniper? Was that the final nail in the coffin between deciding whether let's just make it our permaban?
Yeah, I mean, that should have been such an easy match, but how much we struggled on that versus they were a good team, but it wasn't any of those teams on the stage right now, like Witness G6. So struggling that hard against, that team is kind of our protocol is just bad. So yeah, in a way, it's that kind of made us all think, yeah, we're bad at that map, so we're not going to play it.
That makes sense. That makes a lot of sense. And after that, you guys finished the regular season 14-2, but the head-to-head with G6 makes you the second seed. So you face off against Witness in the first round, or the first match here at the LAN on day 1. Initial impressions of acclimating against Witness Gaming, because you kind of just get thrown against maybe a team that you face online. You kind of struggled against 3-2 Process. I forget what the other one was, 2-1 Sultry, 2-1 Sultry. But when I was watching some of it, it seemed like you guys, I would put it into words as despite whatever players are on froyotech, there is always this notch that you guys turn up to LAN. You guys take it to another level. And Loaf said that too about G6. It seemed that even though this is your first serious LAN, nothing stopped you from demolishing Witness. I would say demolishing Witness.
Yeah, it wasn't very close. I think we were just super aggressive. They weren't ready for it, and all of our DM is just on point. I think we were out mechanicsing them hard. And they weren't... I think they wanted to get these plays set up, and they were trying to do coordination. They were trying to get their coordination together, but we would hurt them before they could do anything. And so I think that's how we ran them over on pretty much every map. We didn't let them play their game plan.
And one question that I have coming into this LAN is, Habib, I would say, is a guy that is a limit tester. In terms of his positioning and how he approaches stuff, he'll try to push the boundary as far as he can in order to get damage that Sax and Banny can work off of, and then you and Yite, because Yite likes to play, I would say, ratty, and to go for those kind of plays and go off of what Habib does. Would you say that playing around Habib has made you a more, because I feel like with you when you were on G6 in season 11, you weren't as aggressive, but I think that was kind of more due to the fact that G6 that season 11 was more of a puggy kind of team. Mm-hmm. What is it like having to play around Habib at this LAN?
I like it. I like having to play like that. Yeah, you're right. G6, I played very like tax. I was just playing literally to keep Lol Guy alive the entire game. That was our game plan. It's med diff the fuck out of them. But yeah, playing on Froyo, Benny has wanted me to be, not the spearhead, but just like always trying to get the most out of Habib, essentially. And so I think it's made me a better player. I get more opportunity. I get more time to get frag clips and kill a lot of people, get a lot of damage. So it's more fun. It's more engaging. It's more challenging. But I like that. I like that a lot. So.
And then into your upper bracket finals match versus G6. You guys had a really freaking close match. Like, holy smokes. It was 2-1 or 3-1, 3-2?
3-2.
3-2 Sunshine, 5-3 Metalworks for G6. Or Snake, sorry.
Yeah.
Wait, no, Snake was the final map.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, Metalworks was 5-3 for G6.
We won Metalworks and Sunshine was 5-3.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So I flipped it around. Okay. And then Snakewater was the decider map where it felt like it was a miracle hold after hold, and then one fight would go the other team's way, but they would fail to convert. Yeah. And then in that final round, finally you guys broke the mold. Would you say that is probably the highest stakes of a match up until, well, for now, because you haven't played grand finals, but is that the most intense match you have played thus far in your career?
It was really intense. I wasn't like, it's weird though, I wasn't feeling the nerves or anything. I was just like, I was in the moment so much that it just felt like, I just got to do my job and we'll win it. I think I've felt a lot more stress my season 11 grand finals, because that was my first grand finals. But yeah, I mean, it was an intense game, intense series, so close, every single map. Yeah, you're right. Snake was like, they would have like 2 miracle holds, we would have 1. Like, that's how we would go. I think we had more opportunities to push last than they did. But yeah, no, it was crazy up there, and I know Grands is going to be even more insane. So I'm looking forward to it.
It just makes me wish that for a match as close as that, a one map advantage kind of doesn't really suit it the justice that it deserves.
Yeah, probably. I mean, they can come back though. It's a mountain, but I mean, many teams have climbed it before. I mean, we did that in season 11. We came back from the lower bracket and we won 3 maps. So it's doable. But yeah, it is a mountain. It can be a little anticlimactic if you get 2-0'd, but.
So after that, now that you're in the grand finals, I also want to touch about Yite. This is like my second to last question. Yite, I would say play similar to, who did you play? I think you played with bot mode in season 11 G6, right?
Brand Slam.
Oh, I would say like Yite is kind of like that risk taker kind of scout, like I said earlier. Yeah. But Yite is someone where a flank scout traditionally maybe shouldn't be dying as much, maybe as some would think. He's someone who's willing to like throw his life away to play off, like I said, Habib's damage and sacks to sacks. And I think you guys as a team are very, very prone to doing 2-man, 3-man, maybe even a 4-man sack, but specifically for last. Right. What are your initial impressions playing with Yite? Because nobody would have imagined Yite is playing with Banny. No. So.
I think Yite is the best flank scout who's ever played the game. I think he's actually, back when he won in season 6, me and Zam would watch his demos and like be like, yeah, this guy's he's the reason this team's winning. And I fully believe that. I think there's some times where he does go in and he doesn't really have to die if he doesn't have to, but I mean, he just goes for all these plays. He's such a high impact player that like he plays the role like almost no one else. I think he plays it closer to bot mode or they play most similar than any other flank scout, but I still think the way Yite plays it is just perfect. He's really good.
Kind of like an Eric type of player where it's more calculated plays then.
Mm-hmm. Eric's a bit more sneaky though. I think Yite, sometimes he just runs straight in and just 2-shots people. I think Yite really relies on just having cracked DM, so.
Well, I mean, I have nothing else to say. Do you have any shout-outs before we cut this off?
Shout out my stream chat. Shout out all the boys. You know who they are. So, and shout out my team. We're goated.
I will give a shout out to the gungon pencil jump emo. So,
That's my favorite one.
all right. Well, signing off. Stay tuned. More interviews to come soon. Appreciate it.